Hezbollah rejects latest ceasefire agreement as Israeli strikes kill 4 in Lebanon. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share BEIRUT app. Hezbollah on Thursday rejected the latest ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Lebanese government, and the militant group demanded a complete Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon as more fighting there hampered efforts to end the Iran war. The Hezbollah announcement came as Israeli strikes killed at least 4 people, according to local authorities, and a UN peacekeeper was killed in the crossfire. Hezbollah leader Naim Kassem, in a written statement read on TV, called the negotiations absurd, humiliating, and insulting. He said the agreement's demand that Hezbollah fighters leave southern Lebanon under fire would mean surrender, defeat, and achieving the enemy's goals. What we are concerned about is an end to the aggression, ceasefire, and Israel's withdrawal, he said, underscoring that Hezbollah has not made any commitment to stop fighting. So long as our villages are not safe and are being bombed and destroyed and our people are killed, he said, northern Israel will not be safe. Sirens sound after Netanyahu visit following Kassem's statement. Drone alert sirens sounded in several border communities in northern Israel, including Shlomi, a town where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and several ministers had been meeting with local officials, his office said. Israeli media reported that Netanyahu left a short time before the alerts sounded. The Israeli military later said the sirens were triggered by attempts to intercept several drones that hit near soldiers in southern Lebanon. No injuries were reported. Though Jim Al-Zamia, the Israeli military's chief of staff, acknowledged Thursday that the ongoing war was straining northern Israeli towns living under the threat of Hezbollah fire. He said Israel's operations in Iran and Lebanon had created a new security reality by weakening Iran and Hezbollah to an unprecedented degree. Lebanese troops began moving Thursday afternoon into the southern village of Dibine in coordination with UN peacekeepers after Israeli forces left the area, which saw intense clashes in recent days, state-run media reported. It was the first time Israeli troops withdrew from an area in southern Lebanon since the latest Israel-Hezbollah war began about 3 months ago. Read more. The fighting in Lebanon, where Israeli forces have seized large swaths of the south, threatens efforts to end the Iran war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a key transit point for oil and gas. Its closure has jolted the world economy. Iran has demanded that any lasting truce extend to Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who faces elections later this year, wants to press ahead with Israel's offensive until Hezbollah no longer poses a threat. U.S. President Donald Trump, who faced a rare rebuke from Congress on Wednesday, has sought to downplay the diplomatic deadlock and the failure of declared ceasefires to end the fighting. He told reporters that, in the Middle East, a ceasefire is when you're shooting in a more moderate manner. Peacekeeper killed in crossfire. A Serbian peacekeeper was killed and 2 others were wounded when a mortar struck their location near Marjayoun, a Christian-majority town that has seen intense fighting, according to the UN mission in southern Lebanon, known as UNIFIL, and the Serbian Defense Ministry. Israel later blamed Hezbollah for the firing that killed the UN peacekeeper without offering evidence. Hezbollah and the UN did not immediately comment on who launched the shells. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said a drone strike killed a motorcyclist and wounded 4 people in the village of Maroub. It said airstrikes on the village of Somer in the Beqar Valley in eastern Lebanon killed 3 people and wounded others. It also reported airstrikes elsewhere in the south. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military, which has warned people not to go into parts of southern Lebanon where it says it is striking Hezbollah facilities. Fighting has raged despite declared ceasefires. Hezbollah resumed rocket fire days after Israel and the United States launched their surprise Feb. 28 attack on Iran, which backs Hezbollah. Before then, Israel had regularly carried out strikes in Lebanon against what it said were militant targets, often killing civilians, despite an earlier truce reached in 2024. After Hezbollah's rocket and drone attacks resumed, Israeli troops seized around 1/5 of Lebanon, pushing further into the country's south than at any time since the end of Israel's 1982-2000 occupation. In the southern city of Sidon, residents reacted to Wednesday's ceasefire announcement with skepticism, saying previous agreements had failed to stop the violence. "Every few days a ceasefire is announced, but people keep getting killed," said Mayor Hijazi. "It's all talk and no action," said Salar Nasso. "We keep going back to our homes, and then we get displaced again, back and forth. We are very tired." More than 3,500 people have been killed in Lebanon, and over 1.2 million have been displaced. The fighting has killed 27 Israeli soldiers and 3 civilians. Latest ceasefire came from ongoing Israeli-Lebanese talks. The latest declared ceasefire came about through U.S.-brokered talks between Israel and Lebanon's government, which accuses Hezbollah of dragging the country into war and had made efforts to disarm it before the latest hostilities. The ceasefire agreement calls for Lebanon's armed forces to take control of security zones in Lebanon from which the militants would be banned. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun on Thursday called the new agreement the last chance to enter a final and comprehensive ceasefire. He said Lebanon was ready to implement the deal once he receives responses from relevant factions in Lebanon, including Hezbollah. The United States and Trump himself would determine how and when the deal is implemented, Aoun told journalists. The agreement terms Hezbollah an enemy of Israel, the U.S. and Lebanon, and calls for dismantling it. The government has promised to do so in the past, but does not have the capabilities to disarm Hezbollah by force. The latest agreement did not say when Israel would withdraw from southern Lebanon, but said the U.S. would support the Lebanese army as it works to assert control in areas